Yeah. Good idea. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kathy Folser. I want to welcome you all to Unity in Naperville on this beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks for taking time to come inside, or if you're watching online, to maybe be out in the beautiful day, but to be with us. If you've been around at all, you know that we are a joyful community. We are open-hearted, uplifted. It's a beautiful place to spend time, so thank you for being with us. And as you know, our minister, Reverend Kitty Benson, is on her second week back from sabbatical. Yay! So happy to have her back. I don't have any stories this week. I'm on my best behavior, so I'm just not going to talk about what happened while Kitty was gone. So she gave a powerful message last week. I wasn't here personally, but heard it online. Hard, but we needed to hear it, and I think we're going to hear more of it this week. So thank you in advance, Reverend Kitty. And as you know, we always start with a prayer in musical form, so please stand as you're able, and highest good will lead us.
Good morning, everyone. I think you know this song, don't you? We open our hearts and we sing this morning. Think of your fellow man, hold them a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, so please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know you won't let hatred go, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see, wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Even now, put a little love in your heart, each and every day. Put a little love in your heart. There's no other way. Put a little love in your heart. It's up to you. Put a little love in your heart. Come on now. Put a little love in your heart. Are we awake? Okay, I'm making sure. Oh, with that love in our hearts, there's something when we just allow it, because everywhere we look, we see that love expressed, don't we? I mean, I do. Tell me you do. This afternoon, we're going to be at a park. I invite you, take even in the midst of the celebration, just a moment to look around at the water and the trees and the green and hear the birds and say, oh, there is the love of God expressing, yes? And God, you are every mountain, God, you are every ocean, God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning, God, you are every midnight, God, you are every moment, every second of my life. And everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. And God, you are every sunrise, God, you are every moonbow, God, you are every star shine, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every springtime, God, you are every snowfall, God, you are every season, every second of my life. And everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
Okay, I just have to ask about the whole God, you are everything, because we had an outdoor meditation service this past week, and can I just ask if the mosquitoes are also God? It's kind of hard to like settle into your happy place and suddenly, but we'll cut them some slack. Yes, all that is. There's only God. Thanks for making time to be here with us today. I'm Kitty Benson, the minister here at Unity, and grateful to feel your presence as an expression of the divine here with us, not only in this room, but all of you watching online this morning, and whenever you're watching, we're connected, yes? Let's just take a moment to close our eyes and feel that knowing, loving spirit that you are the very life of our being, the life of this universe, the life that enlivens, the peace that calms, the compassion that connects. We thank you, Spirit, for the opportunity to be this presence in the world in every moment. And we choose in this moment to stay awake and alert, joyous and enthusiastic to our role as Spirit expressing. So it is. Now we let it be. Amen. Let's speak our invocation. This is something that we say every week that is really the foundation of everything that we teach. If you can get this, you can go home. All right? Let's speak it together. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you. You may be seated.
In the silence is the answer. In the silence is all I'm after. Be still, be still, and know Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
my soul. In the presence is the answer. In the presence is all I'm after. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
and know. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
my soul. And I'm not waiting on divine. Divine is always here. I am waiting on my heart and mind to be open, to be clear. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
and know. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
my soul. In the silence is the answer. In the silence is all I'm after. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
and know. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
my soul. And I'm not waiting on divine. Divine is always here. I am waiting on my heart and mind to be open, to be clear. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
and know. Be still,
still,
be still,
be still,
my soul. Be still,
be still,
be still,
be still,
and know. Be still, be still,
still,
my soul.
Thank you. Now, you're in the dark, so I don't know if this is really going to work, but how many of you were here last week? Okay. Just checking, see. I might want to do just a quick little catch up, but mustard, ketchup, mustard. Sorry. Oh, it's picnic day. What can I say? Ba-dum, boom. All right, so Mark, could you get back to the drums? Just kidding. I have to kind of get into my groove here because it's been a while since I've been here, right? So cut me some slack, okay? Do you remember, if you were here last week, that the topic was masks or metaphysics? Do you remember what the answer was? Yes. Yes was the answer. That sounds like a who's on first question. You guys are way too young. You're just not, they're not getting me. Okay, maths or metaphysics? Yes, yes. And if you're not sure why and you want to get some clarity, you're welcome to turn on last week's message on YouTube channel and find out what we talked about. But I started by working with something Jesus said, that in the world there's going to be, I love the King James version of the problem, tribulation. There's going to be that. There's going to be problems, struggles, challenges, and take heart, take courage, for I have overcome the world. And that I am in Jesus is the I am in all of us. Whether you're Buddhist, Hindu, you just call it by a different name, it resides in all of us. The omnipresence of God dwells within each one of us. And it is that part of ourselves that has the ability to overcome this physical dimension. Now, I know during this pandemic season, and it's only a season that will pass, we've taken many approaches to dealing with it. And our individual approaches have a lot to do with our faith. I don't want to use the word level of faith, but just what you put your faith in is usually how you live your life, whether you know it or not. Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't have to talk about like faith as being only tied to a religion. It's faith meaning what you believe. And so what we believe has been driving how we're dealing with this pandemic. And there's all kinds of beliefs and levels of faith, but I would say that there are a couple that I could just, warn you away from now, although it's a little late after a year and a half. But that is to avoid fear and to avoid judgment, because neither one of those are going to get us out of this. The fear of the pandemic itself and the fear of people who aren't wearing masks, or depending on what crowd you're in, you may be judging people who are wearing masks. You heard the story last week. So those aren't going to work to help us move beyond this situation. And I understand the fear. I mean, early on when this happened in March of 2020, I immediately went into training. And I worked with Kelly Isla, who is not only a Unity minister, but she also has had years of experience in crisis management. And she warned us that this was not going to just go away in a month or two. And she used the year 2022. I went, whoa, she's got to be crazy. She said, by the time we're done, you're going to kind of feel like you've been through a war. And you may even feel like you're suffering post-traumatic stress disorder. And I gotta say, I know that, for those who've literally been through a war and experienced PTSD, they would say you're not even close. But for those of us who have been vaccinated and yet we're still afraid to go out of our door, to me that's kind of a form of it, that we're still carrying the original fear that was heaped upon us early on as people were dying and still are. And so it's something that I want to start addressing between now and the next few weeks, is how to not only heal the pandemic. Are you willing to take that on with me? To heal the pandemic? Yes, good answer. But also heal our own fear. And as a matter of fact, we can't heal the pandemic until we heal our fear. Does that make sense? Okay, so because we are Unity, because we were founded by a couple of courageous people, Myrtle Fillmore, Charles Fillmore, back in the late 1800s, they too faced their own personal pandemic, so to speak. And Myrtle kind of got the ball rolling because she had been a sickly child. And at some point, she and her husband, Charles, moved back to the Midwest where things were more damp, and it created a flare-up in her tuberculosis and fevers of malaria. And she went back to dosing herself, as the stories would say, and dosing everybody around her. But finally, the doctor said, we've dosed you all we can, and we really don't see there being any out for you here. And you have just a short time to live, like 6 months, I think, at the time. So she was grasping at anything that would help her live. And she began to attend lectures, spiritual lectures, to see if that could inspire her in any way. And it was the night that she went to hear E.B. Weeks talk when he said a statement that just illumined her soul. Now, if you know it, you can say it with me. I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. Yeah. Now, Kathy, this is you with a microphone. I want to hear from you, especially if you've been around for a while and you've heard that for a while. Can you tell us why you think that is such a powerful statement? Who wants to answer? Why do you think I'm a child of God and therefore I do not inherit sickness? Why is that such a powerful statement in creating healing? Did you find somebody yet, Kathy? Oh, come on,
I
you
saw
people.
Cindy looking at me.
All right, go, Cindy.
Hi, to me, it says I'm loved, and I can live from that love, and that health is what my birthright is, not sickness. And that if God created that, then there's going to be a way out of it, and he's going to let me know how to do that.
Beautiful. Thank you. And you guys on Facebook, if you want to just jot a little comment in there, and somebody can get on Facebook and tell us if somebody's reading out loud. Okay, you can do that. Kim Char.
I love it because immediately there's an identity shift when you hear that statement, and you move from kind of that isolated ego trip to like, wait, there's connection, there's oneness. I am a child of God. It's a complete identity shift from sometimes the spaces I'm occupying.
Yeah, thank you. Linda.
I'm going to keep it simple. Mindset matters.
Mindset matters. Okay, anybody else? One on the back corner there.
Yep, I'm on my Kathy.
Oh,
Go first.
one more. Hi, Kathy.
The way I take it is that, one, we are beloved children of God, which that in itself protects us. And the second is that, yes, there will be tribulations. We are going to have illness, but if you take it in, you have a choice to take it in or not take it in.
Thank you. One more back in the corner.
God made us whole and complete, and it's our environment and our thoughts that create dis-ease in our body.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Kathy. I think we
I
got it,
actually
right?
have one.
Okay, you go.
And I take this quite literally sometimes. There are certain inherited physical conditions in my family, you know, high blood pressure, standard kind of things. And I realize I have had the consciousness of, well, that's going to happen to me too. And when I release that consciousness, I can step into the consciousness of I am a child of God and not need to inherit that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for sharing. Did we end up with anything on Facebook? Can anybody see? Okay. All righty. Well, no matter when you hear this message, go ahead and plug something in there that tells us why that statement is important to you. The way that it worked for Myrtle was, there's a book written about her called Mother of Unity, and Thomas Witherspoon has some of her ideas around that time in her life, and I want to share with you today. Here's the first one up here on the screen, I think. Did I put this up here slowly? Slowly. All right, here we go. Slowly, she let this truth sink into her conscious mind and take hold. She wrote, I was supposed to be dying of tuberculosis, a disease that was supposed to belong to my father's family. My first teacher spoke the word. Here it comes. It's calling in now. Let me grab it. Hello? Okay, here's what the first teacher said. One is your father. One is your father, even God. He is your heredity parentage. Only what belongs to God belongs to you. She said, the truth came to me, a great revelation showing me that I am a child of the one whole and perfect mind created to express the health that God is. Now, guess what? Jesus said this way before her teacher did. As a matter of fact, that's probably where he got it. Up here on the screen from Matthew 23:9. And call no one your father on earth, for you have one Father, the one in heaven. Now, if you're a father and you've got children, that might hurt a little, yeah? Or same thing for mother. However, he is trying to shake them awake to realize they are not human beings. The people that he was talking to were spiritual beings, and therefore they were cut from the cloth. We sing a song like that, cut from the finest cloth, which is the presence of spirit, and that therefore we inherit whatever the Spirit of God is. That's why he had the nerve to say in Matthew 5:48, be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. He was trying to get them to see, just as we were told in the first book of Genesis, that God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. And we say that God is spirit. We don't think of God as a man being with arms and legs and a beard. We think of God as an everywhere present consciousness, spirit. And you and I are that same essence, that same consciousness. I think Paul was getting a hold of it when he wrote to the Corinthians up here on the screen. He said, now we've received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit that is from God, so that we may understand the gifts bestowed on us by God. And Charles Fillmore, Myrtle's husband, said, I can never for one instant be separated from the life activity of God. God lives in and as me. I depend on spirit for every breath I draw. My body is the soil in which God's life is planted. My mind is the light for which God supplies the oil. So we're talking about how health is our natural state because health is of spirit. So in order to truly know our health, we have to understand our spiritual identity. We have to align our thinking with the way that the Christ mind sees us, and to know that we are eternal beings and that sickness cannot touch us. We have to learn how to embrace this idea of oneness, where the presence that is good and that is God and that is never touched by sickness is also the oneness that we dwell within and as, that in God we live and move and have our being. So again, Jesus was trying to get us to understand this when he came in and told us that literally, like, out of the 4 Gospels, I think I've mentioned this before, the first one written on the timeline was the book of Mark, not by a guy named Mark, just so you know. And when Jesus first comes on the scene in that earliest book, the first words out of his mouth were that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Change your mind, he said, repent. Change your mind. The kingdom of heaven is all around us. And you and I have grown up probably thinking that the spiritual dimension is up there in the sky, separate from us, where we will go if we're good when we die. Yes? Today, we're offering a reminder that the spiritual dimension is all around us. And that really the only reason that we can't see it with our eyes is because we're working in a 3-dimensional house that has eyes that can only see so far. Even our dogs can hear better than we can. And that's the problem, is that what's going on in the 4th dimension, which is encompassing the 3 dimensions, but not hindered by the conditions of it or the time and space line, if we can understand that that 4th dimension is what holds everything together, it is the source of everything that exists, we're going to want to look at that foundation. Just like when you look at a house, you know, and it's starting to fall apart, probably the first things you're going to want to do when you remodel is look at the foundation of it, right? Because everything else you do up above it could fall apart if that's not sound. So you have to understand what your foundation is. It's a spiritual dimension. And what's really cool about this is that dimension is still just the mind of God thinking it into being. And what it's thinking, it has divine ideas for. It has patterns in mind. I grew up with a grandma who sewed. She lived right next door. And I ran over and said, Grandma, make me a top. So she'd go through her fabrics and she'd pull it out. But she also had already been to the store and bought a pattern. And she took that pattern, if you're a seamstress or seamstered, what do you call a male seamstress? Seamster. Seamster, Taylor. Oh, thank you. Oh, gosh, well, genius. Hello. That's a great name. I'm going to start using that. Taylor. Let's start a fad. All right, so that is about laying a pre-cut pattern with all these little markings on it that tell you inches and, where to cut little notches. And I don't know a thing about it, really, as much as I watched her. It's sad. But, buttonholes and zippers and all that kind of thing. You lay it on top of the fabric, and then, am I doing right? Am I off completely, Kathy? All right, so you cut the fabric to match the pattern. Same thing for you and I. The pattern has been impressed onto us, or actually our us has been impressed out of the pattern. And the pattern is always within us. And guess what the pattern is for this body? Whole. No parts missing. Health. Life. And that's where we're being called to pay attention. That, there's a pattern for trees and dogs and all kinds of different varieties of those, and there's all kinds of different varieties of each of us. But a human being has basically got a head and 2 legs and 2 arms and a body, and it's not just the physical body that we are patterned after. You're going to love this. You're actually patterned after the Christ. Your true self, your spiritual self, is the Christ expressing, and it's impressed into, or you're impressed into, the Christ pattern that basically expresses not only how our bodies can be healthy, but our minds can be healthy and creative and loving. Our hearts can be giving and serving. All you have to do is look at Jesus' life to understand what the Christ life looks like in you. You're patterned after that. I want to share a few readings today that will help you get into more depth with this. And one is coming from our old book from Unity School called Metaphysics 1. Very exciting title. But they added the TAN book as the extra definition. So we're going to read from the TAN book. And here up on the screen, our real body is created by God as an idea. There is a divine idea body within all persons. You know what? I have a divine idea body. Will you just say that with me? I have a divine idea body. Okay, that's in addition to the physical. All right, so it's a spiritual pattern of a perfect body. We function in a physical form, which is an outpicturing of our current level of consciousness under the law of mind action. Uh-oh, there's a stipulation. Current level of consciousness. So I'll say this once, and then I'm going to get a chance to tell you it again. We have the chance to use our current level of consciousness to override, or basically blow up, the divine idea. Because we come up with ideas too, don't we? The mind of God holds ideas, and because we're created in the image of God, we too create through ideas. So our ideas may not match the divine idea. So depending on the current level of our consciousness, we have the ability to affect the divine pattern in our body. Okay, then Emily Cady, also who wrote Lessons in Truth, was writing along this line. She says, that which manifests sickness in the body is the human consciousness as opposed to the spiritual consciousness, okay? Which through lack of understanding of how the law of mind action works, has accepted thoughts contrary to the original divine plan, and these in turn have reproduced conditions of like character in body and affairs. So who can just quickly shout out what the law of mind action is about? Thoughts become things, is that what you said? Close enough? Sorry, I couldn't see who said that. Thoughts in mind produce after their own kind. As Jesus said, let it be done unto you according to your belief. Same thing. Okay, so she just said that sickness can manifest in the body when we aren't aware that we can use our thoughts and feelings and beliefs to affect it, and therefore wind up with something that we feel like we had nothing to do with. Hang in there with me. It's going to continue to make sense. This is from an early correspondence school that Unity put out back in the early 1900s. If we want to manifest health, we must think of the life idea, build a concept of it, and see it manifesting in us as health. then the law, let it be done to you according to your faith, will work for us to bring about health in the body. So how do we help the body manifest health? We think about health. What was the other word they used? What's the idea they mentioned? It says right there, life. We must think on the life idea. The life idea. That's an important one. And as a matter of fact, this is where we start taking control, the way that we were designed to take control of our system, our physical three-dimensional system, is to keep thinking on fourth dimensional ideas. So life is the very essence of our body, and when spirit expresses as life, it doesn't express in anything less but perfection. Its life is wholeness. It's the animating force of the universe. It's the activating principle. And what life does, you can't stop it no matter what. It may not be able to maintain in a body, but it's still present in the universe. It's still present in the mind of God. You can think on that idea and you will never run out of life. So this idea of life is something that we acknowledge as something we're swimming in. It's a sea of abundant, omnipresent, life-giving energy. And what that animating force does is it activates on to what we call divine substance, another divine idea you want to think about. You know, when you feel like something is missing in your body or missing in your mind, you go, oh, no, wait, I've got infinite divine energy to work with here. So I'm just going to marry divine life and divine energy together, divine substance, and I'm going to see this life behaving like it's supposed to behave in my body, that it animates, that it renews, that it invigorates, that it multiplies. It's good stuff. It takes the dust of the ground, so to speak, that spirit used to, and I'm not saying literal, please don't take me literally, but the idea of the dust of the ground is that spiritual substance and implant life into it in order to activate it and bring it into form. Now there's one other thing that's required here. You want to take a guess at what that is? Faith would help, yes, but one other divine quality that makes this work the way it's supposed to work. Who here has bought a new car in the last year or two? Me? Okay, yeah. Guess what? I actually need a manual to be able to run that thing. Especially all the computer stuff on the dashboard. I would kind of get lost without it. Well, in the same way, life, activating, renewing life, needs a manual, an intelligence to tell it what to do, to direct that life energy in such a way. So what's happened is we were designed for that life energy and that spiritual substance and that divine intelligence to work together with our physical dimension and continually guide it into a natural state of well-being. That's the divine pattern. To be alive, to be healthy and whole in our being, and for all of our body parts to do what they were designed to do. That's the way the divine mind created us. Now, if for some reason we run into sickness somewhere along the way, bump into a virus or a germ or bacteria of some kind, there's still the intelligence there, talking to the intelligence in ourselves, guiding it back to health and well-being. So the only hiccup here is, in order for the divine intelligence to talk to the physical intelligence in the body, they both have to be vibrating at the same level. They have to be tuned into the same station. Well, spirit is always up here. It never goes down into the sickness category. So if we want to get there, we have to move up into that frame of mind, of consciousness. And with those thoughts and those feelings and those beliefs, we can raise our energy so that it matches. But if we're not in sync, then we've lost the connection, and that's when our cells go rogue because they don't know what to do, okay? So Myrtle, again, learned that she had broken the connection between her higher and her lower self. And she did that because she had embraced this pattern of belief that she was a child of sickness and that her family was a child of sickness. So here's what she said. I was thinking about life. Life is everywhere, in worm and in man. Then why does not the life in the worm make a body like man's? Good question. Then I thought, the worm has not as much sense as man. Intelligence as well as life is needed to make a body. Here is the key. Here is the key to my discovery. Life has to be guided by intelligence in making all forms. The same law works in my own body. Life is simply a form of energy and has to be guided and directed in man's body by his intelligence. How do we communicate intelligence? By thinking and talking, of course. And then it flashed upon me that I might talk to the life in every part of my body and have it do just what I wanted. Are you starting to get the connection? Are you starting to understand why unity exists and the teachings that we teach? It's from this. Now, it is definitely not necessary that you stay focused on your lungs every 2 seconds and say, breathe, breathe, breathe. Not necessary. You don't have to talk to your lungs. You don't have to talk to your heart to remind it to beat. Don't have to tell your stomach to digest your food, right? Because in the mind of God, there's a pattern for those organs to behave in a certain way all by themselves. And the mind holds an idea and it expresses. That's divine order. So that's meant to work in the body. But hey, every once in a while, I don't know if you've noticed it, but my stomach doesn't always digest the way it was designed to digest. Can anybody relate to that? That's just another version of the law that my mind is holding an idea contrary to that probably has nothing to do with the physical body itself. But I'm holding something in my consciousness that has lowered my energy and disconnected me from the instruction manual, so my stomach is struggling. Now, you go to a doctor and they're going to tell you the meaning of stress is what? How do we get stressed? Oh, come on. Has no one been in stress here? They're going to tell you it's your thinking, it's your feeling, it's your believing that creates stress in the body. Now, even though you didn't tell your stomach to develop an ulcer, if we hold thoughts that are aligned with thoughts that are unlike God's nature, we're basically going to put ourselves in a framework of fear or anger or upset, hurt, doubt, whatever, unlike God, and therefore disconnect our body from the instruction manual. So Charles Fillmore just quoted a very simple law that we're all familiar with. Whatever we put as seed into the subconscious soil will eventually bring forth after its kind. Nothing is hidden that will not be revealed, the scriptures say. Okay, are you tracking with me? Okay, this is important. This first foundational message today is important to be able to get the rest of what's going to follow. All right, so here is one of my favorite understandings of all of this from Esther Hicks up here on the screen. Your physical body is the truest reflection of the beliefs that you hold of anything in your experience, which means you don't have to be thinking about the body to have an effect on the body, okay? You have the ability to deliberately project thoughts that have a beneficial effect on your physical body. The more you practice good-feeling thoughts, the more you will allow unhindered cellular communication, and the more your physical body will thrive. To train your thoughts to higher frequencies, you have only to release the resistant thoughts that introduce the resistance. In the absence of those resistant thoughts, your vibration naturally rises. Simple, right? What was the instruction? What did we have to do to raise our vibration? Release what? Resistant thoughts. Give me an example of a resistant thought. I'll never get better. I'm too old. I'm not enough. Anybody else? Just so you know, if it's not conscious, it's subconscious, and it goes on a lot for many of us on a regular basis. So this is where we have to start interrupting that cycle and reestablishing the cycle of truth about who we are. And the cycle of truth about who we are is we were birthed out of love. Not love like, oh, I love the idea of having a kitty around, so I'm just gonna make her. No, there's literally, that's just how God talks, I know. No. When I say our bodies were birthed out of love, I'm talking about the nature of the power of life. So God is life, and the nature of life is love. And therefore, its nature is always working for our good. It's always magnetizing us to our good. It's always wanting our good. And so if we can buddy up to that system consciously and start loving our bodies, which basically is acknowledging the good in them and desiring good for them, we become a stronger magnet for our cells to rise up to that level of frequency. And you cannot get any higher in frequency that I know of than love. Now you're singing Jesus and God's song. When you get to the thought, the feeling, the belief of love, you have just raised your body up to the highest level of consciousness that is now back in sync with your health and well-being. So I want to finish with a passage from Myrtle about what she did, but I'm actually going to involve you today in this because I know some of you have heard this before. So we're going to have up here on the screen, can we see the first one, please? Okay, see up there that yellow line? Anytime you see a yellow line that says true for my, that's your part, okay? So you can speak that with me, all right? Okay, so here's how she started. I began to teach my body and got marvelous results. I told the life in my liver that it was not torpid or inert, but full of vigor and energy. Together, true for my liver too. Okay, good, you got this, all right. I told the life in my stomach that it was not weak or inefficient, but energetic, strong, and intelligent. True for my stomach too. I told the life in my abdomen that it was no longer infested with ignorant ideas of disease put there by myself and by doctors, but that it was all a thrill with the sweet, pure, wholesome energy of God. Together, true for my abdomen too. I told my limbs that they were active and strong. True for my limbs too. I told my eyes that they did not see of themselves, but that they expressed the sight of spirit, and that they were drawing on the unlimited source. I told them that they were young eyes, clear, bright eyes, because the light of God shone right through them. Together, true for my eyes too. I told my heart that the pure love of Jesus Christ flowed in and out through its beatings, and that all the world felt its joyous pulsation. True for my heart too. I went to all the life centers in my body and asked their forgiveness for the foolish, ignorant course that I had pursued in the past when I condemned them and called them weak, inefficient, and diseased. I spoke words of truth to them, words of strength and power. True for all my life centers too. Now let's read the rest of this together. I do not become discouraged at their being slow to wake up, but keep right on, both silently and aloud, declaring the words of truth until the organs respond. That's what she did for 2 years until she moved beyond tuberculosis and went on to live another 40 plus years. Okay, who has questions? No, it's not similar to what Christian Science believes. Christians, similar, okay, maybe. Take her off the stage. Okay, so the one thing that's very different is that Christian Science would say sickness is not real and doctors are not needed, and that if you appear to be sick, you need to change your mind. Now we're doing that, but we're also inviting you to go see a doctor. Remember last week I said, work with the level of your faith. So if the level of your faith says, I'm more comfortable if I get some kind of medical treatment, then for heaven's sakes, do that, okay? Don't go beyond your level of faith when your life depends on it. That's just my opinion, unless you're ready to leave. But if you want to live, understand your own level of faith and work with that, and then come to unity and help grow that faith. That's why we're here, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, other questions? There's one. Go ahead. Yeah, so she's talking about achieving it in certain elements of the body and not in other elements of the body. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay. So here's probably the fastest way to move beyond that is stop thinking about the body. Stop thinking about any part of what's wrong in the body and just focus on the divine pattern. Just focus on the Christ spirit within you that's whole and above and beyond anything limited, and remind yourself, I am that I am. That way you get your mind off of what isn't working and what's hurting and what's scaring you, and instead you put your attention on, oh wait, I'm a spiritual being, and my spirit is in the image and likeness of God, and that's always whole and lively and love. I'm just going to remember that. Otherwise, you start trying to dose yourself, with different types of prayers and affirmations, and it can get a little bit difficult. Go for the big overall view. Cindy? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Sure. Yeah. Yes. And she's talking about how the heart is superior to the brain when it comes to having its own mind, and that its own generator. There it is. And we can even help that by holding a consciousness of love in our minds to coordinate with the divine love of the heart. And that when we direct our attention from head to heart and hold an idea in our heart of someone we love or something that brings joy to our mind and our consciousness, you're using that apparatus of the heart to raise your energy and open the door of your higher consciousness to be able to guide you through whatever it is that you're experiencing it. So if you want to explore more of that, you might look into heart math, okay? So my homework assignment for you this week, because we're going to keep talking about it. Like next week, we're going to really focus in just what you wanted to hear, what gets in the way of health, okay? So come back next week and we're going to basically trash that as much as we can. Okay, we'll find a better way to say that. But for now, what I want you to do is a couple things. One is vision that pattern that we talked about in your body. Envision it before you go to sleep at night. Just imagine this divine pattern laying on top of you, permeating every cell in you, and that divine pattern is health and wholeness. And also use a lot of loving words to your body, okay? So that's our homework for ourselves, and then when you feel like you've done some good for your body, then turn it out on the world around you, okay? All right, let's take some time in the quiet before we go. I feel like I'm a long way away from y'all. Let me come over. Sorry, Parker, if this screws up your camera. It's okay. All righty, let's just take a moment. Took in a lot of words today, a lot of words. And And we know that beyond the words, there is simple, loving wisdom within us that can almost be communicated without speaking. So as we close our eyes, we imagine the wisdom of love and spirit at home in our bodies. Just feel a little light body that's filling in your head and your torso and your arms and legs. See it as an intelligent body that's sending little energetic signals, information to all of your cells. And imagine your cells are opening up their gates and gratefully receiving that information and joyfully following that direction. Just take some time now for you to do that. Keep picturing those physical cells opening the door and saying, "Welcome. Thanks for bringing your divine guidance. I'll follow you anywhere." As you sense the spirit instruction, the spirit energy enveloping each of your cells, allow it to be a feeling of love. Feel your cells embraced by the heart and love of God. We thank you, Spirit, that we are never separate from the life of God. That the perfect pattern for this healthy body rests within us. And we joyfully marry our physical to our spiritual as we relax and allow, as we give thanks, as we feel a great sense of hope and faith for the potential that rests here within us. We let go and let love be the life in our bodies, for that is the truth of our being. And now we let it be. Amen.
Thank you, Kitty. Wow.
I missed your meditations. I'm so glad you're back. That was beautiful. And we are now entering the time in our service when we share in our tithes and our love offerings. And on behalf of Unity in Naperville, I want to thank you for your support of this amazing spiritual community, knowing that at the deepest level, we are giving from divine purpose to divine purpose. So thank you. There are many ways that you can choose to share your gifts. If you are watching us online, just scroll down and look for the donation button. If you are here in the sanctuary, the ushers will be coming around. And of course, you're always welcome to write a check and send it to Unity in Naperville, P.O. Box 9733, Naperville, Illinois 60567. So please join me in speaking the blessing for our offering. The words are on the screen. Together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. Thank you, ushers.
I'm just waving the band off. I said, we're not going to do the song, the regular song, because Kitty, I don't even know the chords to how to play this song, but I'm going to just maybe sing it a cappella. And it's something that our Spirit Rise Songwriters group wrote for the 12 Powers when we were looking at the power of life. I'm going to try to remember. It's just a cappella, but it's the words. It's the words for today. Okay. I align with the vibrant life within me. All health is mine. I am whole and I am free. I align with the vibrant life within me. All health is mine. I am whole and I am free. And I flow. I flow into the pure stream, harmonizing, healing, pure stream, awakening, renewing, pure stream, moving in and through me now. The life of God in me is the pure stream. I am guided by the dance of life moving as me. All I ever was and all I'll ever be. I am guided by the dance of life moving as me. All I ever was and all I'll ever be. And I flow, I flow into the pure stream, harmonizing, healing, pure stream, awakening, renewing, pure stream, moving in and through me now. The life of God in me is the pure stream. Your Spirit Rise Songwriters.
How am I supposed to do the announcements? Oh my gosh. Okay, breathe. Wow. Usually during the blessing song, I read through the announcements just to make sure I've got them and I know what to say. I did not do that. I don't know if I can do this. Okay, breathe. Thank you all. Send me some energy. That was so beautiful. Ooh. Thank you all for your patience. Okay, announcements. Okay. Announcements. Thank you all for being here today. If you're joining us for the first time, whether you're on the live stream or here in person, thank you. Just one more little. And it's harder to read through tears, I'm finding. Thank you all for bearing with me. Okay, Melinda's here to help me out. This is very unexpected. Thank you. Okay, so what's happening at Unity? Our picnic is today, September 12th, Herrick Lake, 12:30. This is at the West Pavilion parking lot. I'll give you directions in 1 second because it turns out we didn't get them onto the website, but don't worry, I got you covered. Unity's men will grill hamburgers and provide buns and toppings, so bring your own side dishes, and remember, don't bring a dish to share as much as we want to sample and share. Bring your own side dish. Water will be available, or you can bring your own drinks. You might also want to bring your own chair, blanket, etc., so you'll be comfortable, and we will provide some games for those who wish to be active, or you can just hang out, chill, talk, be with your buds. Masks are optional, we'll be outside. Okay, so directions. If you want to write this down, I was going to put it in my phone just to make sure you'd get correct directions if you put it into your phone, because you may not. It may send you to the wrong entrance. So we're going to go old school here, and I'm going to just tell you how to do this. So you're going to take 59, go to Butterfield Road East, then you're going to take Herrick Road South for about a quarter mile, and then turn left into the park, and it's the West Pavilion. So let me do that one more time, although I don't see anybody writing it down. But sorry? Trust us on this. Turn left into the park. Right. If you're coming on Herrick Road North, right. But if you are coming from Butterfield, you're going to take Herrick Road South, quarter mile, and turn left into the park. Let me see what else to say. Raffle tickets. We're still selling raffle tickets. The pot is up around $150. So see Susan after the service. If you would like to buy tickets, they're $1 each, 6 for $5, or 12 for $10. What do you win? You win half, thank you. Like I said, I thought I was prepared, but wow. I'm going to blame this on Kim Char. She just took me, she took me to another dimension there. Yeah. So you will win half the pot, and then the other half of the pot will go to pay for the meat that the men will be grilling for us. Okay, so Tuesday, join us for lunch online. See the website calendar or the email admin@unity.naperville.org for details. And as always, one-on-one prayer support is available after the service. Just send an email to prayer@unityinnaperville.org. Put your name and phone number, and a prayer chaplain will call you by 1 p.m. And as always, for details of all of our events, go to unityinnaperville.org. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook. And then Reverend Kitty has an announcement about the 12 powers. Thank God I'm done.
Thanks, Kathy.
Can you hear me now? There we go. So I'm going to ask Kim Char to really go into not a lot of depth, but more than me. But I just wanted to remind you that even though the 12 Powers Club started in July, it goes all the way through the end of the year, and you can access every power that's already been revealed, and then the more that are coming up at the end of this year. This is our annual fundraiser for Unity. So this is your opportunity to dive in and to invite your friends to enjoy it, or to buy, a subscription, for your loved ones if you want them to start to enjoy a lot of variety about how to experience and learn about the 12 powers. Now, don't do it today because
I got word from a couple of members on Friday that the website is down. And I take my job as one of the 12 Powers Club managers very seriously, and I'm not on my watch. So Parker is calling customer service and then getting to tech, and ultimately what is happening is it's a server-side error. It's on their end. So there's nothing we can do. And then they shared with us that they really can't do anything until Monday. I'm sorry, I almost had a heart attack. Do you ever have those things where they happen and you're like, and my stomach was just in knots and I was feeling sick? No, but I'll tell you what. divine order in all things.
Yeah.
And we happen to be looking at our power, that power within us of order. What an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, wait. Rather than staying in that cloud of panic, I'm like, take a deep breath. And I really moved right into looking at some of the teachings. I had some notes from Linda Martella-Witzett's podcast and everything, and I'm like, this is all good. And something that stayed, or I was reminded of in all this, is divine order is not about God saying, this is how this is happening. It's about ordering our thoughts and our feelings in the midst of a circumstance. And so this was a situation, and it still is, an opportunity for me to order my thoughts.
Yeah.
Order my mind and how I'm feeling. I love every day we get these lessons and to live these powers, don't we?
Yes.
We're talking about the power of life today, every day. So I invite you, perhaps after Tuesday, to go to the website, check it out, and the content is all there, even from when we started in July. Everything is there for you to bless you and lift you up. Thank you.
Go ahead and sing.
So I invite you now to stand as you're able. And we'll sing this last song. And if you don't know, that big dash means I will sing a word, and you'll be echoing the line with Kevin. Sounds good? Start with this. I've got the truth of God in me.
That'll come later.
I've got the truth of God in me.
I've got everything I need.
I've got everything I
need. I've got it all. I've got it made. I've got it oh so good. And I've got the love of God in me.
I've got the love of God in me.
I've got everything I need.
I've got everything I need.
I've got it all. I've got it made. I've got it oh so good. And I've got the life of God in me.
I've got the life of God in me.
I've got everything I need.
I've got everything I need.
I've got it all. I've got it made. I've got it oh so good. We'll end here. I've got the mind of God in me.
I've got the mind of God in me.
I've got everything I need.
I've got everything I need.
I've got it all. I've got it made. I've got it oh so good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to challenge you this week to take what we talked about today and see how you can embrace it while you're in the midst of a pandemic. I'm not going to leave you hanging on that. We're going to continue to talk about that over the next few weeks. But the true path to wholeness is changing your consciousness to match a consciousness of wholeness for self and for the world around us. So we just start with ourselves this week. Take baby steps, and we'll talk some more next week, okay? Here's our closing affirmation up here on the screen. Together, I now express the divine idea of health and wholeness in my being. Total silence. Yeah, that's a good one for us. Let that sink in. Carry it home with you. See you at the picnic. Looking forward to next week. Thanks, everybody.